Like and subscribe if you want more stories from the block. Blood was still wet on my hands when I hit the gas. The city lights blurred into red and blue streaks in the rearview, sirens echoing somewhere too close to tell if they were behind me or just inside my head. The bag on the passenger seat was humming. Yeah, humming like it had a heartbeat. I didn't know what was inside, and at that moment I didn't care. All I knew was if I stopped driving, I was dead. The rain had started coming down sideways, slicking the cracked windshield and washing neon reflections off the soaked streets. I could smell the burnt rubber from my own tires. The old Honda Civic rattled every time I hit a bump, but I kept pushing, third gear, fourth, redlining through an empty intersection where the stoplight blinked like a dying heart monitor. They said this run was supposed to be easy. Pick up the bag from the warehouse on Alameda, deliver it to a man named Felix before midnight. No questions, no stops. Just 3,000 cash and a full tank of gas. But easy jobs don't start with gunfire. I wasn't always running. A year ago, I was fixing cars in my uncle's garage, dreaming small, clean hands, steady pay, maybe my own shop one day. But dreams don't feed you when the rent's late and your mom's meds cost more than your paycheck. That's how I met Rico. Not the usual street Rico, but a Cuban dude with slicked back hair, silver rings, and a smile that made you trust him against your better judgment. He'd come in every few weeks, always driving a different car, sometimes a Benz, sometimes a bullet-riddled Charger. Said he was in logistics, the kind of logistics that came with cash rolled in rubber bands. "Yo, Miles," he said one day, tossing me a cold soda while I worked under a lifted Impala. "You ever think about getting paid what you're worth instead of scraping for tips?" I wiped the grease from my hands. "You trying to get me locked up?" He laughed. "Locked up? Nah, I'm talking quick runs. No guns, no drama. You're smart, you keep quiet. You could make more in a night than you make in a month." I should have said no, but hunger doesn't let you talk back. So I did a few runs. Boxes, envelopes, sometimes just a phone left in the back seat for someone to pick up. Easy stuff. Cash always clean, always folded tight. Rico never said much about what was inside, and I never asked. That was the rule. Until tonight. It started at 10:47 p.m. Warehouse on Alameda, rain tapping against the metal roof like ticking clocks. Rico was pacing near the bay door, smoking and talking fast on the phone. When he saw me, he didn't smile this time, just nodded toward a metal case sitting on the table. "Here it is. Take it to Felix. You got till midnight, my boy. No detours." I frowned. "That's 15 minutes, man. You said the drops across town." He looked me dead in the eyes. "Then you better not hit no red lights." Something in his tone hit different, the way he said don't stop. Like he knew something was coming. Before I could ask, the back door slammed open. 3 men in masks rushed in, guns out. Rico shouted, "Go, go!" And the whole room exploded in noise. Gunshots, metal scraping, glass breaking. I grabbed the case, sprinted for the car, felt something tear across my shoulder. I didn't look back. That's where the story started. Rain, blood, and the hum of something alive in that metal box beside me. Now it was 11:09. My phone kept buzzing. Unknown numbers. I turned it face down. Streetlights flickered as I crossed the bridge into East LA. The city stretched ahead like a dying circuit board, lights fading block by block, rain washing everything the same color. I needed to get to Felix, but I didn't even know who he was. Rico's instructions replayed in my head. "Warehouse. Bake. Don't stop." I kept glancing at the case. It wasn't locked, just sealed with tape. A faint light pulsed from the inside like something breathing. My curiosity started gnawing at me, but before I could reach for it, my phone rang again. This time I answered. "Yo!" A calm voice came through. "Miles, you got something that don't belong to you." The car felt smaller all of a sudden. "Who the hell is this?" "Doesn't matter. Pull over, hand it over, and maybe you walk away." "Yeah? And if I don't? Then you'll never see your mother again." My heart froze. "What did you just say?" "Check your messages." The line clicked dead. I pulled over, shaking, opened my phone. A single image had come through my mom's apartment door, the one with the dent near the handle. That's when I realized this wasn't about the money. I slammed the car back into drive and cut through the rain. The wipers squealed, and my mind was spinning faster than the wheels. I needed to call someone. But who? Rico was probably dead. The cops would ask the wrong questions. Then I remembered Elena. She worked nights at the 24-hour bodega on Pico. We'd gone to high school together. She was always the quiet one, sketching tattoos in her notebook while everyone else fought to be loud. Last time I saw her, she told me, "Miles, you always run. One day you gotta stop and face what's chasing you." Maybe tonight was that day. I turned down Pico, tires hissing against puddles, and pulled into the alley behind the shop. The neon sign buzzed through the rain. Tienda Santa Maria. Half the letters dead. I shoved the bag under my hoodie and stepped inside. The bell above the door jingled like a nervous heartbeat. Elena was behind the counter counting cigarettes. She looked up, startled. "Miles? What the hell? You look like you've been through a war." "Long night," I said, glancing out the window. "No headlights." "Not yet. I need a favor." Her eyes dropped to the blood on my sleeve. "This some street shit?" I hesitated. "I just need 5 minutes. Somewhere to think." She sighed, motioned toward the back room. "Go before my boss comes back." The back room smelled like stale chips and bleach. I set the metal case on a crate, breathing hard. Elena followed me in, crossing her arms. "You gonna tell me what's in that?" I shook my head. "Don't know. Don't wanna know." She studied me, her voice softer now. "Miles, you're shaking. I think I got people after me. Cops. Worse." The hum from the case grew louder, a steady vibration that made the floor tremble.
Elena frowned.
"What is that sound?" Before I could answer, a pair of headlights flashed through the front window. Then came the screech of tires. I grabbed the case. "They found me." "Who?" I didn't have time to explain. The bell above the door chimed. Boots. Multiple. Voices speaking Spanish, low and tense. Elena's eyes went wide. "Miles, stay here," I whispered. "Don't move." I crept to the doorway and peeked through the shelf. 3 men in black coats. One had a machete, another a pistol with a suppressor. The leader, tall, tattooed neck, calm like a wolf. He called out in a deep voice, "Miles, you got something that belongs to Mr. Ortega." The rain outside had stopped. Everything was too quiet. I could hear my heartbeat pounding in my ears. He took another step forward. "You can walk out with your life. Just give me the bag." I clutched the case tighter. "I don't even know what's in it." He smiled coldly. "Exactly. That's why you shouldn't die for it." Elena suddenly burst through the back door, yelling, "Police! Police!" Trying to bluff. The men turned. That second was all I needed. I swung the case like a bat, cracking the nearest guy in the face. The gun went off, glass shattered, alarms blared.
Elena screamed.
I kicked the shelf over, grabbed her arm, and ran for the alley door. Bullets followed us into the rain. We ducked behind the dumpster, both gasping. My shoulder burned where the first bullet had grazed me earlier. Elena's hands were shaking. "Miles, what the hell is happening?" I looked at the case. The light inside was brighter now, almost glowing through the metal. "I don't know," I said, "but whatever this is, they'll kill anyone who sees it." She swallowed hard. "Then what do we do?" I met her eyes. "We run." We made it 3 blocks before the first black SUV appeared. Headlights off, windows tinted. I turned sharply down a narrow street, tires sliding. The engine screamed as I gunned it. Elena was gripping the dashboard, yelling prayers under her breath. They followed close, too close. Then the bag began to hum louder. The light inside turned blood red, pulsing in rhythm with the engine. I felt the whole car vibrate. Elena screamed, "Miles, pull over." "I can't." The car's radio crackled to life on its own. Static, then a voice. "Deliver it before midnight." I froze. "Did you hear that?" She nodded, terrified. "Yeah." "Who was that?" I didn't answer. My eyes flicked to the dashboard clock. 11:41 p.m. Whatever this was, it was counting down. We tore down the 6th Street Bridge, city lights flickering on the wet asphalt below. Police sirens echoed somewhere far off. I could see the reflection of the SUV behind us in the river water, gaining fast. "Glove box," I said. "There's a gun." Elena opened it, stared at the small revolver inside. "Miles, just hold it," I yelled. "If they pull up, aim for the tires." She nodded, shaking. The SUV pulled alongside. Window rolled down. A muzzle flashed. I ducked, windshield cracked, glass raining down on us. Elena screamed and fired. Once, twice. The SUV swerved, hit the barrier, spun out. Flames burst behind us, lighting the night red and orange. We both stared in silence for a moment, panting, the road stretching empty ahead. At 11:52, I pulled under an overpass and stopped. My hands were trembling. Elena was crying quietly, her face streaked with rain and glass dust. "What's in that bag, Miles?" she whispered. I didn't answer. I set it on my lap and ripped the tape off. The lid creaked open. Inside was a black device, about the size of a laptop, covered in wires and blinking lights. A timer on the side read 7 minutes and 32 seconds. "Oh my God!" Elena gasped. "It's a bomb," I said. The voice from the radio came again, calm, controlled. "Deliver it to Felix before it hits 0, or everyone you love dies." I slammed the lid shut, heart pounding so hard it hurt. "We're not delivering this." Elena grabbed my arm. "Miles." "No. I'm done running for people who treat life like poker chips." "But what if?" I cut her off. "Then we die trying to stop it." I threw the car into drive again, this time heading toward the river. Elena's voice shook. "Where are we going?" "To end this. Do you even know who Felix is?" "No," I said, "but I know where bombs don't go off underwater." The rain came back harder, thunder rolling across the skyline. My headlight beams cut through sheets of silver. Downtown glowed in the distance like a dying promise. Every red light felt like fate daring me to stop. I didn't. As we neared the riverbank, the timer ticked down, 2 minutes and 14 seconds. I floored it, crashing through the metal barrier. The car soared for a second, weightless, suspended in time, before plunging into the black water below. The cold hit like a punch. Water flooded the cabin fast. I unbuckled, grabbed the bag, kicked the window out. Elena followed, coughing, gasping. We swam for the surface as the car sank beneath us, dragging the red glow down into the dark. At 8 seconds, I threw the case as far as I could into the current. It vanished under the waves. Then came the explosion, muffled, distant, a flash under the water that lit up the whole river like lightning. Silence. Just the rain, the smell of gasoline, and the city lights trembling on the water. Elena was clinging to a chunk of driftwood beside me, breathing hard. "Is it over?" she whispered. I looked out toward the horizon, where smoke curled up behind the skyline. "No," I said quietly. "It's just beginning." The water felt like it wanted to keep me. Every kick toward the surface dragged me back down. Heavy clothes, burned lungs, panic clawing at my ribs. Then I felt Elena's hand grab mine, nails digging into my skin. That little pull brought me back. We broke the surface together, coughing up river water, rain falling harder than ever. Somewhere behind us, pieces of my car floated, metal, fire, memory. Elena was shaking beside me. "Miles, what did we just do?" I looked toward the dark skyline, breath ragged. "We stopped something we don't even understand." Sirens echoed distantly. Maybe cops, maybe the people who sent the bomb. Didn't matter. We were running again. We swam to the bank, pulled ourselves onto the concrete slope. I collapsed on my back, rain hammering my face. Elena lay beside me, hair plastered to her cheeks, gasping. For a moment, neither of us said a word. Just the sound of water rushing past. The city pretending nothing happened. Then her voice broke the silence. "They said your mom, remember? You think they were bluffing? The words hit like another punch to the chest. I sat up fast. No. We need to go. We found a drainage tunnel, half collapsed and stinking of rust and mud. I tore off my soaked hoodie and checked my phone. Dead. Probably fried from the dive. Elena's phone was cracked, screen flickering. Still got a signal? I asked. She nodded, shivering. One bar. Call her. My mom. If she doesn't answer. She was already dialing. The ringtone dragged on forever. Then voicemail. Elena looked at me, voice small. No answer. I closed my eyes. The sound of rushing water filled the space between us. I gotta get to her place. Miles, those guys are still out there. They think you're dead. Maybe that's good. I shook my head. Not if they think she's leverage. She sighed. Then we do it smart. Not loud. I glanced down at my reflection in a puddle, blood, dirt, fear. I didn't even look like me anymore. We waited out the patrols. From the tunnel mouth, we could see cruisers combing the river roads, flashlights sweeping the water. I counted 3 black SUVs, engines idling like wolves sniffing for scent. At 2 a.m., we slipped out the other side of the tunnel and moved through the industrial lots. Broken fences, wet concrete, stray dogs barking at ghosts. The world smelled like rain and diesel. Elena kept pace, quiet but steady. I could tell she was scared, but not useless scared. The kind that keeps you sharp. When we reached the main road, she said, I know someone who might help. A guy named Tito. Owns a chop shop near Vernon. He owes me a favor. Car thief. Mechanic. But yeah, same thing. I almost smiled. Guess that's close enough to home. The shop was hidden behind a row of shipping containers. Half the lights were out, and an old pit bull guarded the gate. Elena whistled twice, and a stocky man with grease-stained hands stepped out. Tattoos up his neck, gold tooth flashing under the single light bulb.
Elena?
Girl, you look like hell. Tito, we need a car. Now. He looked me up and down. Who's the dead man? I wiped water from my face. Long story. Tito shrugged. Ain't my business. You got cash. I reached into my pocket. Just wet bills, maybe 200 left. Tito frowned.
Elena stepped closer.
Come on, T. You owe me for that thing with your cousin. Remember? He groaned. Ait, fine. But you didn't see me tonight. 10 minutes later, we were back on the road in a stolen black Camry with mismatched plates. Tito had even thrown in a burner phone. As we drove, the silence between us grew heavier. Streetlights streaked across the windshield like slow flashes from old film. I finally broke it. You didn't have to come with me. Elena glanced at me. You think I'm doing this for you? I raised an eyebrow. She smirked slightly. If I let you run around by yourself, you'd be dead before sunrise. I laughed. Just a small one, but real. The first I'd had in months. When we reached my mom's building, the neighborhood was asleep. Paint peeling off the walls, old posters soaked through by the rain. I parked a block away. The hallways smelled like cigarettes and boiled cabbage. Every step felt like walking into a memory. Birthdays, arguments, the nights I promised her I'd be better. I stopped at the door with the dent near the handle. My hand trembled before I knocked. No answer. I turned the knob slowly. Unlocked. Elena, stay behind me. I pushed the door open. The apartment was dark except for the TV flickering static. Dishes still on the table. My mother's knitting stuff scattered across the couch. But no sign of her. Elena, I whispered, check the bedroom. She moved carefully through the hall while I scanned the kitchen. That's when I saw it. A single photo frame turned face down on the counter. I flipped it over. It was me, 12 years old, smiling with her at the county fair. A bullet hole through the glass right between my eyes. Elena came running back, pale. Miles, she's gone. My vision tunneled. What do you mean gone? Room's empty. Closet too. But she handed me something. A folded piece of paper left on the bed. In block letters, deliver the package. Felix waits. No signature. Just an address scrawled under it, La Puente Industrial Yard. I crushed the note in my fist. They took her. Elena bit her lip. Miles, that bomb, it's gone. What are you even supposed to deliver now? I looked around the room. The overturned photo, the TV hum, the faint smell of her perfume. They don't want a bomb, I said slowly. They want me. We left before dawn. I drove aimlessly, trying to think. Every intersection looked the same. Rain slick, empty, dangerous. Elena sat quietly, staring out the window. After a while, she said, "You really think you can face them? I don't got a choice. You could still walk away. They think you're dead. Remember?" I looked at her. If they kill her, what am I supposed to do? Pretend I never existed? She didn't answer, just nodded slowly, like she understood something about me she wished she didn't. By sunrise, the sky turned gray-pink, hazy with smoke. The industrial yard sat at the edge of the city. Old warehouses, cranes, puddles reflecting broken light. We parked behind a stack of containers. I could feel the weight of the world pressing down on my chest. "I go in alone," I told her. Elena shook her head. "Hell no. This ain't your fight." She smirked bitterly. "You dragged me into it the second you ran into my store bleeding." I stared at her, then sighed. "Fine, but stay close. And if it goes bad..." She cut me off. "It's already bad." We moved through the yard, stepping over puddles and rusted chains. A faint hum filled the air again, like the one from the case, but distant, deeper. At the far end stood a warehouse with the lights on. 2 guards by the door, both armed. I whispered, "You still got Tito's revolver?" She nodded, pulling it from her jacket. "Keep it low. Safety off." We slipped behind a forklift and watched as a black SUV pulled up. The same model that chased us last night. The leader from the bodega stepped out, tattooed neck, calm eyes. He opened the rear door and helped someone out. My heart stopped. It was my mother, blindfolded, wrists tied. I nearly lunged forward, but Elena grabbed my arm. "Miles, no." I froze. The man guided her inside, talking quietly to someone unseen. A minute later, another figure stepped out of the shadows. Tall, suit, silver watch, slick hair. "Rico." Elena's jaw dropped. "That's your boy." I felt my stomach twist. "He's supposed to be dead." I listened, trying to make out the conversation. Rico said something about the device being neutralized. The tattooed man, must be Felix, looked furious. He slammed his fist on the hood of the SUV. Rico raised his hands. "Look, man, it wasn't supposed to go that way." He panicked. "But I can fix it. He'll come. He always does." Felix stared at him, then nodded slowly. "He better, or she dies next." That was enough for me. I stepped out from behind the forklift, gun raised. "Let her go." Both men turned. Rico's eyes widened. "Miles? You alive?" "Disappointed," I said coldly. Felix smiled, slow and cruel. "You've got heart, kid. Shame it's wasted." I aimed the revolver at his chest. "Untie her. Now." Felix motioned to his guards, who stepped back a little. "You don't even know what you're holding, do you? Try me." He chuckled. "That wasn't a bomb. It was a prototype. Energy cell, worth more than your whole block. Rico was supposed to deliver it to me. You ruined that." Rico stepped forward, voice trembling. "Miles, you gotta believe me, man. I didn't know they'd come for your mom." I shot at his feet. "Don't." Felix sighed. "You can still fix this. Bring me the prototype and she walks." "It's gone," I said. "It's at the bottom of the river." Felix's smile disappeared. "Then you die in her place." The guards lifted their weapons. Before they could fire, Elena popped up from behind a container and let off 2 shots. One hit a guard's shoulder, another shattered a light. Chaos exploded. I tackled Felix, knocked the gun from his hand. Rico dove behind the SUV, yelling something in Spanish. My mother screamed. Elena ran to her, cutting the zip ties with a pocket knife. "Come on, senora." Felix swung a punch, caught me across the jaw. I hit the ground, ears ringing. He grabbed a crowbar, raising it high. Then a shot cracked. He froze. A dark spot bloomed across his chest. Rico stood there, holding one of the guard's pistols. Felix fell to his knees, choking, eyes wide with shock. Rico lowered the gun, breathing hard. "Told you, Miles. I didn't want it like this." I stumbled to my feet, wiping blood from my mouth. "You set me up." He nodded slowly. "Yeah, and I've been paying for it ever since." Elena pulled my mom toward the exit. I followed, gun still up. Rico tossed the pistol away. "Go, before more of them show up." I hesitated. "Why are you helping me now?" He looked at me, eyes hollow. "Because you're still got something left to lose." "I don't." The warehouse lights flickered again. That same low hum filled the air, louder, pulsing through the walls. "What the hell is that?"
Elena shouted.
Rico's face went pale. "Backup power grid. The prototype triggered it. You didn't destroy it, you woke it up." "What?" I yelled. A blinding light burst from the far end of the building, electrical arcs crawling across the metal beams. Sparks rained down. Rico screamed, "Run!" We sprinted through the yard, my mother between us, feet splashing through puddles that glowed faint blue from the light behind. The air smelled like ozone and burning oil. The moment we hit the outer gate, a thunderous boom ripped through the ground. The warehouse imploded inward, flames shooting skyward, lighting up the whole district. We dove behind a concrete divider as debris rained down. The blast echoed for miles. When I looked back, there was nothing left of the building but smoke and twisted steel. Elena coughed beside me, eyes wide. "What the hell was that thing, Miles?" I didn't answer. My mom was sobbing softly, clutching my sleeve. "Baby, let's go home." But I couldn't move. I just stared at the flames, realizing something terrifying. The light inside that case wasn't dead. It was spreading. The next few days after the warehouse job felt like being trapped inside a movie that wouldn't stop rolling. Every minute was heavy. Every second felt like something waiting to explode. The city looked the same skyline, same sirens, but I wasn't seeing it the same way anymore. Once you kill a man, even if he deserved it, you start seeing ghosts in daylight. I kept thinking about Rico's face, how it looked when the light hit it for the last time. The way his blood seeped into the floor, mixing with spilled cash and gunpowder. Couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. The block kept moving, though. Life don't pause for your nightmares. Jay had gone quiet, too quiet. He wasn't answering my calls, wasn't showing up to the usual spots. I tried to convince myself he was laying low, but in my gut, I felt something shift. The type of silence that comes before the storm. Then word spread. Rico's brother was looking for me. Name was Vance, cold, calm, no loud talking, no warning shots, just business. A dude like that didn't make threats. He made promises. The first time I saw Vance was outside my mama's house. It was late afternoon, sun burning low through the smog. I came to drop off groceries for Ma, trying to look like a good son while hiding the devil behind my eyes. But before I could knock, I saw him across the street. Black SUV, tinted windows, engine running. He didn't step out, but I knew it was him. There's a certain stillness in a man who's done dirt and lived long enough to master patience. His presence felt like gravity, pulling me, pressing me. I stood there a second too long. The window rolled down. I saw his eyes, calm, gray, empty. He gave a small nod. Then the window rolled back up, and the SUV pulled away. That was all. But I knew what it meant. The game was moving. That night, I went to the docks, our old spot, hoping to find Jay. And there he was, standing under a single floodlight, hands in his pockets, looking out at the dark water. The reflection of the city lights rippled behind him, like ghosts dancing on the surface. "Been calling you, bro?" I said, stepping out of the shadows. He didn't turn around. "Yeah, been busy." "Busy?" I scoffed. "We just killed a man, Jay. Half the block's on alert and you ghost me? You know what that looks like." He finally turned. His face was pale, his eyes tired. "It looks like I'm trying to think. That's what it looks like." I stepped closer, the smell of salt and diesel filling the air. "Think about what?" He sighed. "About us. About this whole thing. Rico's brother, Vance. He came to see me. I froze. What? Couple nights ago. Said he knows what went down. Said he's not mad. Just wants a conversation. About making things right. Making things right? I repeated, voice sharp. Jay, that man's setting you up. You know how this goes. Ain't no conversation. There's a bullet with my name on it, and maybe one with yours. Jay looked away again. Maybe. Or maybe he just wants peace. Peace. I laughed bitterly. We crossed a line, bro. There's no peace after blood. He didn't answer, just kept staring at the water. That silence told me everything. For days after that, I couldn't shake the feeling that I was walking through my own funeral. Every corner, every car that slowed down too long, every look that lasted a second too much. It all screamed betrayal. Then one night I got the call. Unknown number. A man's voice. If you want this to end, come to the old motel off 3rd and Alameda. Midnight. I knew that voice. Vance. It wasn't fear that made my hands shake. It was the knowing. The knowing that Jay had already chosen a side. The motel was half dead. One flickering sign. Rooms filled with junkies and echoes. I parked 2 blocks away, walked the rest, hand on my piece the whole time. The air smelled like burnt rubber and cheap whiskey. When I reached the door marked 7, it was already open. Inside, Jay, sitting on the bed, head down. One dim lamp lit the room in sick yellow light. And beside him, Vance, calm as ever, smoking, watching me like a scientist studying a dying animal. Took you long enough, Vance said. I looked at Jay first. You set this up? Jay didn't answer, just rubbed his hands together, staring at the floor. Vance stood up, flicked his cigarette into the sink. I'll give you this, you're hard to find, but everyone's got someone they care about. Someone who talks. He took a step closer. You killed my brother. He pulled first, I said quietly. Vance nodded slowly. Maybe, but see, out here, truth don't matter. Balance does. I raised my gun halfway. Then why am I still breathing? Vance smiled. A small, broken thing. Because I'm tired of funerals. Because Jay here thinks there's still something left in you worth saving. I turned to Jay. That true? He finally looked up, eyes wet. I am tired, man. Tired of running. Tired of bleeding for nothing. Rico's dead, the money's gone, and we're next if this keeps going. I thought maybe, I snapped. You thought maybe the guy whose brother we killed is gonna forgive us? Vance held up his hand. No forgiveness. Just a trade. One last job. You two pull it off and I let you disappear. You have my word. I laughed, bitter and sharp. Your word. He shrugged. It's better than your chances otherwise. I looked at Jay again. At the guilt in his face, the fear he was trying to hide. I should have shot Vance right there. Should have ended it. But something in me hesitated. Maybe it was exhaustion. Maybe it was that same hunger Jay had for peace, even if it was fake. Fine, I said. What's the job? 2 nights later, we were back in motion. Vance had a score lined up. A stash house run by crooked cops, full of dirty cash. A chance to hit back at the system and walk away clean. That's how he sold it, anyway. Jay was driving, eyes locked on the road. I rode shotgun, watching the city slide by, neon lights bleeding through the windshield, rain streaking down like tears. This don't feel right, I muttered. When has it ever? Jay said. We pulled up 2 blocks away, engines off. I checked my gun again. Everything about the air felt wrong. Too still, too expectant. We moved in through the side alley, shadows swallowing us whole. The rain hit the ground soft and constant. When we got to the door, Jay picked the lock quick. Quiet. We slipped inside. The place was dark except for the faint glow of monitors in the back. Stacks of cash sat on tables, easy, too easy. Yo y whispered. This ain't. That's when I heard it. The click of a safety. I turned, red dots danced across my chest. Hands where I can see 'em. Cops. 6 of them. Vests, rifles, the whole deal. Jay froze. I could see it in his eyes. Confusion. Fear. Maybe guilt. Drop it, one shouted again. My heart slammed. This was no bust. This was a setup. Jay, I hissed. You told him where we'd be? What? No. He shook his head, but his voice cracked. The front door burst open. More lights, more shouting. I did the only thing I knew how to do. I ran. Bullets tore through the walls as I dove through a side window, glass exploding around me. I hit the pavement hard, rolled, kept moving. Sirens wailed somewhere close. Behind me, I heard Jay yelling, something I couldn't make out, then another burst of gunfire. When I looked back, I saw him, Jay, stumbling out the door, clutching his stomach, blood everywhere. Jay! I screamed, running back toward him. He fell to his knees, tried to speak. I didn't know, man. I swear. Then he collapsed. I dropped beside him, pressing my hands against the wound, my mind screaming but my voice silent. His blood ran between my fingers, warm and fast. Stay with me, bro, stay with me. His eyes flickered, met mine one last time. We could have been free. Then he was gone. The world blurred. Everything went quiet. Just the rain and the sound of my own breathing. That's when I saw him. Across the street, half hidden under an umbrella. Vance, watching. He didn't move, didn't speak. Just turned, got into a black car, and drove away, leaving me there in the rain with my brother's body and a city that had finally decided to collect. By sunrise, I was gone. Left Jay's body in the alley because I didn't have the strength to drag him home. I just kept walking, through streets that no longer belonged to me, past faces that once nodded in respect and now looked away. Every story on the block ends the same, not with a bang, but with a silence. Jay wanted peace. I wanted revenge. And now all I had left was regret. But I wasn't done yet, because Vance thought he buried me that night. He was wrong. The city don't sleep. It just changes masks when the sun comes up. By the time morning light hit those cracked sidewalks, I wasn't Malik anymore. I was a ghost wearing his skin. My brother was dead, my future buried next to him, and the only thing left beating in my chest was vengeance. Jay's blood was still under my nails when I walked into the corner bar. Same one we used to post up in after jobs, laughing like fools, talking about dreams we'd never see. Now the laughter was gone, the light gone too. Big Tone was behind the counter, used to run with us back in the day before his knees and nerves gave out. He looked up when he saw me, eyes wide. Damn, Malik, I thought you was gone. I sat down at the bar, voice flat. I was. He slid me a glass of whiskey without asking. Heard about Jay. My jaw tightened. You hear who did it? Tone hesitated. Everybody say Vance. But word is he ain't working alone. Somebody feeding him moves. Someone close. I stared at my reflection in the drink. The amber light made my face look older, meaner. Someone close. Tone leaned in, voice low. You remember Tasha? My stomach nodded. Yeah. She been seen riding with Vance's crew lately. Word is, she was the one who told him where y'all would be. The glass cracked in my hand. You sure? Tone nodded. As sure as the streets ever are. Tasha. The name hit harder than the whiskey. We had history back when I thought love could exist in the same space as survival. She used to talk about leaving the city, about starting fresh somewhere no one knew our names. I believed her, even saved up for it once. Now she was running with the man who got Jay killed. I didn't even finish the drink. Just walked out into the rain, the glass still bleeding in my palm. I found her 3 days later. Club Neon, one of those spots built for people trying to forget they live in a dying city. Flashing lights, bodies moving slow to bass-heavy tracks, the smell of smoke and perfume mixing into something toxic. She was at the bar, laughing with some dude in a leather jacket. Her hair was shorter, dyed red now. She looked happy, or at least good at pretending. I waited until the guy left, then slid into the seat beside her. Her smile faded when she saw me. Malik, you look surprised, I said. I thought you were dead. I finished for her. Yeah, I get that a lot lately. She looked around, nervous. You shouldn't be here. I could say the same to you. She sighed. Look, whatever you think you know. Jay's dead. I cut in. And Vance knew exactly where we'd be. Only a handful of people did. So unless ghosts are talking, it was you. Tasha's eyes softened. Malik, I didn't set you up. I swear to God. Vance found me after you disappeared. Said he'd kill my cousin if I didn't help him find you. I didn't think he'd do that.
Isterte her.
Every word sounded rehearsed, too smooth. Where is he now? I asked. She hesitated. I don't know. I leaned closer, voice low and sharp. You always were a bad liar. She swallowed. He's got a new spot, in the hills. Big house, ex-cop on payroll. He moves around, but he trusts one guy. Name's Q. You find Q, you find him.
Q. Irrapata.
What's he look like? Tall, bald, always wearing that stupid red leather jacket. You'll know him. I stood up. Thanks. Malik, she said softly, grabbing my arm. Don't do this. I looked down at her hand, then at her eyes. You already did. Finding Q wasn't hard. Men like that don't hide, they advertise. He was posted outside a strip joint on Alameda, smoking, gold teeth flashing in the streetlight. I walked straight up, no mask, no hesitation. He grinned. Yo, you lost, homie? Yeah, I said, pulling the Glock from my waistband, looking for directions. The smile dropped. Where's Vance? He spat on the ground. You got a death wish. I pressed the barrel against his gut. Already dead. Remember? He stared at me for a long second, then nodded toward the north. Warehouse District. By the tracks. He's meeting some suits tonight. Big deal. That's all I know. I believed him, but I shot him anyway, once in the leg. Enough to make him remember me. The warehouse was lit up like a crime scene. Black SUVs, men with guns, crates being loaded into trucks. I watched from the shadows, the rain dripping off my hood. Vance stood near the entrance, talking to two white men in suits. Government type. So that's how he was moving now. Selling the same poison that built him to the same system that buried us. Jay died for this. I moved slow, steady, one step at a time. My heart wasn't even racing anymore. Just a deep, quiet rhythm, like the city's heartbeat syncing with mine. When I got close enough, I aimed and fired. The first shot hit one of his guards. The second took down another. Chaos erupted, shouts, gunfire, echoes bouncing off metal walls. Vance dove for cover behind a truck, returning fire. I kept advancing, every shot precise. Bullets sliced through the air, ricocheting off steel. Sparks flew like fireflies in hell. Then I saw him crawling, bleeding from the arm, trying to reach his gun. I stepped over a dead body, aimed down, and kicked his weapon away. Balance, I said. Ain't that what you believe in? He looked up at me, face pale but calm. You think killing me brings him back? No, I said, but it stops me from seeing his face every night. He smirked. You always were predictable, Malik. Something about the way he said it froze me. Then I heard it, a faint beep. My eyes darted to his jacket. A small blinking light. Explosive. I barely dove behind a crate before the blast hit. The world went white, then black. When I came to, everything was smoke and silence. The air was thick with dust and blood. My ears rang like bells. Vance was gone. Or what was left of him was. Half the warehouse was rubble. I stumbled outside, coughing, vision swimming. Sirens in the distance again. Always sirens. The rain had stopped, but the streets still glistened. And there, parked under a broken streetlight, was a car. Tasha sat inside. For a second, I thought I was hallucinating. But then she stepped out, eyes wide, shaking. Malik! Oh my God! I raised my gun instinctively. She froze. I came to help you. I swear. Help me, I said, voice hollow. You told him where I'd be. No. I fired into the air beside her. The sound cracked like thunder. Why? I shouted. Why keep playing me? Tears streamed down her face. Because I didn't know what else to do. Vance said he'd kill everyone I love. I didn't have a choice. There's always a choice, I said. Her voice broke. And what about you, Malik? You think you any different? You killed Rico. You killed Jay by dragging him back into this life. You think you the victim? Her words hit like bullets. I lowered the gun. Maybe not, but at least I admit what I am. She took a step closer. Then stop before there's nothing left. For a moment, the world went quiet. Just us and the hum of the broken streetlight. Then headlights appeared at the end of the block. Black SUVs, speeding fast. Vance's backup. Tasha turned. You gotta go. I shook my head.
No.
This ends here. She reached for me, desperate. Malik! The SUVs screeched to a stop. Doors flew open. Muzzles flashed. I pulled her down behind the car as bullets shredded the air. Stay low, I yelled. We crawled between parked cars, glass raining down. I returned fire, taking out 2, maybe 3, but there were too many. A round grazed my shoulder, hot and sharp. Tasha screamed. They're everywhere. I looked at her, the woman who betrayed me, the woman I once loved and made a choice. Go, I said. Get out of here. What? No. I said go. I fired another burst, covering her as she ran toward the alley. Then I turned back toward the gunfire, lungs burning, mind clear. Every bullet I fired felt like it carried Jay's name. Bodies dropped, tires burst, smoke filled the street like fog. And when it was over, when the last echo died, I was the only one left standing. Barely. I fell to my knees, the weight of it all pressing down. The smell of blood and gasoline hung thick in the air. The silence after violence is always the loudest thing in the world. Sirens again, closer this time. I staggered toward the alley, holding my side, my vision blurred, reds and blues flashing in the distance. Tasha was gone. Maybe she made it out. Maybe not. Didn't matter. I made it to a bench outside an old liquor store and sat down, bleeding into my hoodie. The city around me was waking up. Cars passing, people heading to work, all of them unaware that their streets had just swallowed another soul. I looked at the sky, gray, endless. Jay once told me the block was like quicksand. You struggle too much. It just pulls you deeper. I never listened. Now I understood. A cop car slowed down across the street. 2 uniforms stepped out, hands near their weapons. One of them called out, "You all right there?" I almost laughed. I raised my hands slowly, not to surrender, but to show them something. The photo I kept in my pocket. Me and Jay back when we still smiled. Then I dropped it, along with the gun, and let the darkness take me. When I woke up, the first thing I smelled was bleach. That hospital kind of clean that don't ever really feel clean. Just smells like death got mopped up and replaced with fluorescent lights. My body was wrapped in bandages. Machines humming beside me like slow, tired music. My shoulder burned. My ribs felt cracked. But I was alive. I didn't know if that was mercy or punishment. A nurse with kind eyes told me I'd been found bleeding out near 8th Street. Said a woman called it in but didn't leave her name. Tasha. It had to be. The cops came next. They didn't ask many questions. Didn't need to. Word travels fast when blood hits the pavement. I was the last name in a story everybody else was too dead to tell. They cuffed me to the bed, read me my rights, and said I was facing multiple charges. Illegal weapons, homicide, resisting arrest. All of it true. All of it earned. When they left, I stared out the window. The city stretched out in front of me. Same skyline, same sirens. Nothing had changed except me. I spent my whole life trying to beat the block. But you can't outrun something that lives inside you. They transferred me to county jail 2 weeks later. Walking through those gates felt like walking into a mirror. Everyone there looked like someone I used to be. Young, hard eyes, dreams traded for survival. The air was heavy with sweat, fear, and quiet rage. They put me in with the general population. No favors, no protection. The first few nights I kept to myself. Sat on my bunk, replaying everything like a film I couldn't turn off. Jay bleeding out, Vance smiling, Tasha crying. Some nights I'd dream about us as kids, back when the block was just our playground before it became our prison. Jay with a basketball, me chasing him down the court, both of us laughing. Now he was gone, and I was the one who put him there. Weeks turned into months. In a place like that, time don't move forward, it just folds in on itself. Every day feels like a loop of yesterday. But something inside me started changing. Slowly, painfully. There was an older dude named Reggie, gray beard, calm eyes. Used to run with the OGs in the 80s before prison took half his life. He'd sit by the window in the yard, reading old books, never talking unless someone needed to hear something real. One day, he sat beside me. "You got that ghost look," he said. I frowned. "What?" "Like somebody walking around carrying a coffin inside." I didn't answer. He nodded toward my bandaged arm. "You been through it. But let me ask you something. What you gonna do after?" I laughed bitterly. "Ain't no after, old man. I'm doing life." He smiled. "Life ain't the same as living." Those words stuck. A few months later, I started writing. First, it was just random thoughts. Then memories. Then stories about me, about Jay, about the block that raised and broke us. I wrote on scraps of paper, on the back of commissary sheets, even on walls when the pen ran out. Writing didn't change the past, but it made the noise quieter. Reggie used to read some of it, nodding slow. "That's pain, but that's truth," he said once. "Keep it honest. Somebody out there needs it." Maybe he was right. Maybe there was still something left of me worth saving. One morning, the warden called me in. Said I had a visitor. I didn't expect anyone. Ma stopped coming years ago and Jay was gone. When I walked into the room, I froze. It was Tasha. She looked different. Tired, older, but still beautiful in that way pain makes people beautiful. "Hey," she said softly. I didn't sit. "You shouldn't be here." "I had to," she said. "I owed you that much." I scoffed. "You don't owe me anything. You paid your debt a long time ago." Tears filled her eyes. "You think I don't live with it every day?" I see his face too, Malik. I hear his name in my sleep. Silence hung between us, thick and heavy. Finally, I sat down. "Why'd you call it in?" "Because I couldn't let you die like that," she said. "Not after everything." I nodded slowly. "You should've." She reached into her bag, pulled out an envelope. "There's a man downtown, says he can publish your writing." I showed him some of it. The stuff Reggie mailed me. I blinked. "You what?" "It's good, Malik. Real good. People need to hear it." I shook my head. "Ain't nobody trying to hear a killer's story." "They already do," she said. "Every day. On the news, in songs, in the streets. At least yours is honest." For the first time in years, I didn't know what to say. She slid the envelope across the table. "Do something with it. For Jay. For you." Then she stood up, whispered, "I hope you find peace," and walked out. I sat there a long time, staring at that envelope. Inside were copies of my stories. Messy handwriting, pages full of pain. Maybe it was too late for redemption. But maybe redemption wasn't about forgiveness. Maybe it was about telling the truth, even when it hurts. Years passed. I got older. The streets changed again, new faces, new slang, same cycle. One day, the guard brought me a box of letters. Dozens of them. From kids in the city. From teachers. From mothers who lost sons. They said my words helped them understand. Helped them talk. Helped them heal. I read every one. Some made me cry. Others made me smile. For the first time in forever, I felt something like purpose. Maybe I couldn't fix what I broke, but maybe I could keep someone else from breaking too. Reggie died that winter. Heart gave out while he was reading on the bench by the window. They buried him behind the walls, no family, no ceremony. I sat there that night, staring at the moon through the bars, thinking about his words. Life ain't the same as living. He was right, so I started living in the only way I still could. Writing, teaching younger inmates how to read, how to tell their own stories. We'd sit in a circle, trading memories like currency. Every story was a confession, every confession a kind of freedom. Sometimes I'd close my eyes and imagine Jay sitting there with us, laughing again. Maybe he was, somewhere. 10 years later, they let me out on parole. Gray hair now, lines around my eyes. Same city, different heartbeat. The skyline hadn't changed much, but everything else had. The corners where we used to hustle were coffee shops now. Condos replaced the old trap houses. The block had grown up or maybe just moved on. I walked past the mural on 116th. Jay's face painted big and bright, surrounded by candles and graffiti hearts. Someone had written, "Long live loyalty." I touched the wall, whispered, "You made it, bro." We both did. Then I walked away. I found a small apartment near the edge of town. Cheap, quiet, overlooking the river. Started working with a nonprofit that helps kids caught up in the system. Most of them reminded me of us, hungry, angry, searching for something to believe in. Sometimes I tell them my story. Not the movie version, the real one. The one that hurts. I tell them about choices, about loyalty, about how quick the block gives you love, and how fast it takes it back. And every time I finish, I see something in their eyes. Fear, hope, maybe both. That's enough. Late nights, I still sit by the window with a notebook. Still write. Not for fame. Not for forgiveness. Just so Jay's voice don't fade. Just so the city remembers. Some people die once. The rest of us die every time we remember. But sometimes, remembering is how you live again.